हिमांशु का नाम बनाते हैं। हेलो, hello. Good afternoon to all of you. Hello, may I audible? Rajneesh?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all of you, and we are welcoming today our notable speaker, Professor Parvez, Akthar Parvez, and today we are discussing about the research publication and their ethics. You know that in the assistant professorship, research scholars, and these are the main importance then whenever we complete our PhD or we are doing our PhD or we are doing our research. The research scholar always knows about that, interested into what is impact factor, how we define impact factor, what is SCI journal, what is SCI journal. So there is a lots of important area we have to know about how we publish in a good journal and what we publish and what we how we will prepare the manuscript. So today our notable speaker is Professor Parvez Akthar sir. So Akthar sir, can you hear me? Akthar sir?
Hear you.
Yes, sir. So I am
Hello?
introduced.
Yeah,
Hello, sir.
I can hear you.
Welcome, sir, for this 1 week faculty development program. And I will speak about the Professor Akthar sir. This is a short biography, but he is a most notable person in that area. So Professor Akthar sir, PhD from the University of Delhi, and now he is a librarian at Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Manu, and he is also nodal officer for all the department and 12 satellite campus librarian of the university. Prior to joining Manu in January 2017, he worked as a librarian at the very prestigious Indian Institute of Management, Indore. He was also the first appellate authority on RTI matters at IIM Indore. Dr. Parvez has about 32 years of professional experience of working in the prestigious institutions both in government and private sectors. These institutions include National Council of Applied Economics Research, the American Center USIS New Delhi, DELNET, India International Center, ICRA, and IIM Indore. Dr. Parvez has authored and edited 10 books, contributed 20 papers in journals and books, and has delivered more than 200 invited lectures on various issues related to the field of library and information services. Dr. Parvez specialized in designing process in various operational areas of library management and has successfully implemented them in his library, leading to staff efficiency enhancement. In addition to service to important academic committees in various capacities, he is managing editor of Journal of Library Management and he is on the editorial board of the International E-Journal of Library Science and International Research, Journal of Library and Information Science, published by King Saud University, Saudi Arabia. He won the Best Paper Award during the International Conference on Innovation in Engineering and Management held at Walzat College of Applied Science, Muscat, Oman in February 2016. Dr. Parvez was recognized as Outstanding Management Librarian by Association of Indian Management Scholars and Institute of Rural Management, Anand, Promising Professional Award by Serflis, Best Young Librarian Award from Indore Division Library Association, Biswa Lakshmi, Best Management Library Award, and few other prestigious awards in the field of library and information service. Dr. Parvez is the founder member of Management Library Network and has been contributed to ManLibNet activities since 1998 to 1999. In addition to holding of the position of General Secretary, he was treasurer of Indian Library Association of the term 2002 to 2004, 2004 to 2007. So today is very most notable speaker in the area of research publication, research ethics, and he is also notable in the area of library science. So welcome, sir, again. Sir, I will hand it over to you. Akthar, sir. Akthar, sir. I think some technical problem. So, sir is joining now.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. I got disconnected because it was asking for some Zoom update. So I had to update my Zoom and then I got connected again.
Okay, sir. We have read your autobiography and introduced your.
Good, very good, very good. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So I am handed over to you, sir.
Okay.
And I speak about you, and that means you are notable speaker today is faculty development program. We know that your ability in the research in library science. So today the most of the participants in the research and faculty members, and in my occasion to invite you that because in especially in the Bihar state and Jharkhand state, the research is not going very well, and the peoples and not considering about the what is SCI journal and what is so. So, sir, I am handed over to you.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And I am very happy that you invited me for this program, and I hope that I will be able to add some value to this program which you are organizing. So thank you very much once again, Lakshman sir. And
Thank you, sir.
let me just share my screen with you so that I think the host will have to allow me to share my screen.
Okay. Rajneesh, please allow sir to share a screen.
I think, Lakshman sir, you have shared your screen, so you will have to stop sharing your screen.
Okay, sir. This is a technical fault. I think we technical team sharing their screen.
Okay.
I am not. I am not
Okay.
sharing my
All
screen.
right. No problem. No problem. I am not yet allowed to share my screen.
Okay, sir. Wait a minute.
Okay. Okay. हाँ मैं कर रहा हूँ लेकिन हो नहीं रहा. वो बोल रहा है होस्ट डिसेबल्ड पार्टिसिपेंट्स स्क्रीन शेयरिंग. तो आपको वहां से मुझे अलाउ करना पड़ेगा, मल्टीपल शेयरिंग करना पड़ेगा. आप उसमें से जाके अलाउ मल्टीपल शेयरिंग कर दीजिए तो मेरा हो जाएगा. हाँ हो गया, मेरा हो गया.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
हाँ हो गया. ठीक है. Thank you very much. So let me just share my screen. You can see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll be speaking on research and publication ethics, and this is a topic that we have been talking for years, but still we find that a lot of people are not aware about what are the ethics to be followed, what are the UGC guidelines, how similarity is checked. Okay, all those issues are there, related to ethics. So let me just first tell you, the purpose of research and publications. I'm sure, most of you are faculty members and researchers, so you know all this, but still, let me just briefly tell you about these issues. So, the basic purpose of any research is to fill the knowledge gap, and of course, career advancement, or you can say financial reward. And also, one of the purposes is to disseminate your research results or whatever knowledge you have gained after conducting that research. And then, ultimately, you have to publish your research in journals or any other, document. And the challenges which generally, research scholars and faculty face, it is, first of all, they do not know the exact tools for, research. Okay, that is one problem or one challenge that people face. Another problem is that, lack of awareness of academic ethics. It's not that we simply want to be unethical, but the problem is we sometimes do not know what academic ethics are. And then, of course, the other challenge is to select the right kind of journal. And when we select the right kind of journal, we have to really work very hard. We generally see the impact factor, whose impact factor is higher, and accordingly we publish. And now, there is a list called UTC Care list. So we generally, go to that list and we want to publish in that journal. And then the another, problem or challenge is the problem of predatory publishing. So basically, predatory publishing is when the journal is of low quality and when publishers publish low quality journals. So let me just briefly explain to you what a predatory is. This term was defined by Mr. Jeffrey Beal, who is an American librarian, and he coined this term in 2010. And the term was, coined to describe those publishers who charge article processing fee, which is also known as APF, and provide rapid publication without a proper peer review process. This is how predatory publishing is defined. So basically, such can I ask everybody to please mute Mr. I think Dr. Bhoor Singh I am getting. So if you can please mute your mic, it will be good. Okay, so it basically, such publishers, they exploit the author's need for publishing, and such publishers, do not have any regard for peer review, or you can say the quality of publication. They just want to make money, and such, journals which are published by predatory publishers are low quality journals. And these are some of the names by which these predatory journals or predatory publishing is known as. One is, of course, fake journals, fake publishing, dubious sham journals, deceptive. Why it is called deceptive? Because they say that this is the impact factor we have, but actually when we see, then we find that the impact factor is not what they are claiming. And then, it is also known as low credibility journals, scholarly bad faith, dark side of publishing, pseudo journals, questionable publishing. The reason why it is called as pseudo journals, because sometimes what happens that there may be a very popular journal and some predatory publisher, or you can say the publisher whose main motive is just to make money, they come out with a similar kind of article. Can you please, can someone please mute the screen? Because, sorry, mute the mic. I think
So I request to all the participants, please mute your mic.
I think Mansi Singh's mic is not mute. So yeah. So it is also known as questionable publishing, and the reason why it is known as questionable publishing, because they promote theories which may be false, which may not be correct. So these are some of the names by which predatory publishing is known. Earlier, there was a list called Beal's list, which had complete list of such predatory journals and publishers, but for some reasons now this list has been taken off by Mr. Jeffrey Beal. But there is another database which is called Cables, and if you go to Cables website, you will know what which are the predatory published journals and publishers. But the problem with this website is it is a paid product. But then there is another website where it's not paid, and you can find out all kinds of predatory publishers and journals by clicking here. So that is called Dolo's list, and this is the website which you see. Then there is another website called predatoryjournals.com, where again there are good number of journals which are predatory, and those journals have been listed here on this website. There was an article published in the Current Science in December 2016, and what this article revealed was that because of the publication pressure that we have, we tend to publish in low quality journals. Basically, it was an analysis of research articles which were published during September 2015 to February 2016. And in this, research, it was found that 51% of the faculty and staff from private and government colleges, they publish in predatory journals, followed by private universities, state universities, national institutes, then central universities, companies, etc. And this research revealed that the publication pressure among researchers and lack of monitoring the research being conducted were found to be the major factors which contribute to publications in poor quality predatory open access journals from India. And these predatory publications unfortunately are found to be only in open access journals. So what is open access journals? I'm sure most of you may be aware. Open access journals are those journals where an author pays for its publication. And here, I'm not saying that all the open access journals are predatory. There are large number of journals which are excellent journals, which are indexed in Scopus or Web of Science. What is Scopus? What is Web of Science? Let me just briefly tell you. These two databases are basically databases of abstracts and citations. So, say for example, if I am looking for a topic, say on library management, and if I go to these databases, that is Scopus or Web of Science, so how will I choose articles to read from these databases? Obviously, I will see which article has more number of citations. So citations are basically, when one paper refers to another paper. And obviously, the paper which will have more number of citations, it is considered to be a good paper, and that could be one of the criteria where you can choose which article to read. So these are, I thought I'll just tell you what Web of Science and what Scopus databases are. So, this is another a document by Committee on Publishing Ethics, which talks about predatory publishing. So, my suggestion to all of you would be, if you get some time, please go through this document. I'm sure you will know all about what predatory journals or predatory publishers are. And why research is important for academic institutions. Of course, it is extension of teaching. And when you do research, the quality of teaching improves, because then you come to know a lot of newer things, what advancement are taking place in your field. And you also get, visibility and recognition in academic institutions. And, the research also impacts our national and international rankings. Because here, a lot of weightage is given to research articles, and not just quantity, quality here is very, very important. Not just that how many articles you are publishing, but, where you are publishing, that is very, very important. And, it also, gives you recognition among the researchers community. But unfortunately, when you see the international ranking of 2021, you find that our universities have started figuring in this list of 1,500 universities only after 600, like Jamia, JNU, Delhi University, BHU, etc. These institutions are coming only after 600. Whereas if you see our neighbor, China, they are doing far, far better than us. And there, the public universities are ranked, you see here 23, 24, 80, 107, and so on. And the reason, why I gave this comparison, because, like us, they are also quite big in number in terms of population, in terms of, our country and China, of course, are two top developing countries, I would say. So there was some kind of survey which was done by Elsevier, which suggested that every year 1.2 million researchers begin their careers. And out of this 1.2 million researchers, only 35% stay there for more than 5 years in their research activities. And out of this 35%, you find that only half of them actually complete their career in research. So which means if you take this in terms of percentage, so only 16-17% of the people, they are actually able to complete their career in research. I will like to run this video for you. It is a 3.5 or 4 minutes video, which would actually tell you what are the issues in research, etc. So please watch this video. You can just adjust your volume. So I think what this video suggested was, of course, that it's very very important that we know the research tools. We should know how to locate the relevant information. And this video also suggested that it is important to work in collaboration. You must have seen one of the papers where one of the physics papers where there were 3,222 co-authors. So, but what happens, in our case, generally, we want to write alone because of various reasons. So I think, if you write in collaboration with other researchers, there are a lot of advantages that you get. But having said that, there are issues related to authorship that we'll discuss during this presentation in next few minutes. So the agenda of this today's discussion is, of course, publication ethics and academic misconduct. We'll also be discussing what is fabrication, what is falsification, and what is plagiarism. As I said, we'll discuss about ethics in authorship. We'll briefly discuss the role of editors, publishers, and peer reviewers. What is retraction, and what are the UGC guidelines for academic integrity? So these are a few things which we'll discuss. So if you see the definition of ethics, as per Webster's dictionary, it says the discipline dealing with what is good and bad and with moral duty and obligation. So a set of moral principles, a theory of system of moral values, a set of moral issues or aspects. So basically, this subject deals with the rightness, what is right and what is wrong. So a person is ethical if he or she is right. So basically, this is the study of morality. Now, there is a book called An Introduction to Ethics by John Dake, who defines ethics as, I'll just tell you, ethics is a study of what are good and bad ends to pursue in life and what it is right and wrong to do in the conduct of life. Secondly, it also suggests that it is therefore above all a practical discipline. Its primary aim is to determine how one ought to live and what actions one ought to do in the conduct of one's life. So today, we'll be discussing academic ethics, not ethics per se, or you can say what research misconduct is. Research misconduct means fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism when we do any research. So, and if we do any kind of misconducts concerning fabrication, etc., that is called academic misconduct. So, what is fabrication? Basically, fabrication is making up data or results and recording or reporting them. We just cook up data and prepare our research. So that is called fabrication. Whereas if you see falsification, it is manipulation of research data or material. So there is a thin line between fabrication and falsification. Fabrication is you simply make up data, but falsification is when you start manipulating the data which you have collected just to suit your research requirement. And plagiarism, is the appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit. And these definitions have been given by Office of Research Integrity in United States. You can go to this website to know more about this. And research misconduct is also seen in authorship, simultaneous submission, conflict of interest. When we don't disclose our interest in a particular thing, then it is called non-disclosure of conflict of interest. So let me just begin with this problem, that is the authorship. What happens, when we start writing, sometimes, there are co-authors and we don't decide who will be first author or what will be the sequence of authorship. The sequencing will depend entirely on the contribution. If I am writing an article with you, if I have more contribution, obviously my name should appear first, followed by your name, and it should not be vice versa. So that is very important. When we start writing an article, it is important that we decide about this sequence early. So may I request Snehlata to please mute her mic. Okay. So then, there is something called ghost authors, and ghost authors are, professional writer who are paid for writing, but they don't appear in research work. So that is why it is called ghost authorship, or, because the authorship or the author is not visible or the author is invisible. The next is guest author. When you unnecessarily put someone in the authorship just because you want that. Can I request Snehlata to mute her mic? Snehlata Pandey, please kindly mute your mic.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yes, madam, please.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, madam.
Hello. Yes, thank you, sir.
Please mute your mic, madam. Please mute your mic. Madam, can you please mute your mic?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So then there's something called the gift authors, where you gift the authorship. The person may not have any contribution, but you just gift that. So I mean, these things are not ethical, or you can say these things are unethical when it comes to academic integrity. I would suggest that you please go to this website, that is International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, where you will find in detail the role of authors and contributors. Let's say, for example, if you unnecessarily, for example, gift author, somebody might have contributed very little, or he or she may not be deserving to become in the category of authors, then such person should be categorized under contributors, like research assistant, etc. So unless they have a major contribution, of course, to the research work. So this is one website where you can go and study this particular topic in detail. Then the next is, after authorship, is simultaneous submission. So simultaneous submission refers to a case when an author submits his or her paper to more than one journal at the same time, which may lead to duplicate publications. What happens, when you write an article, sometimes you send it to 2-3 publishers, just because you think that one publisher may accept, one may not accept. So just to speed up your publication, you send it to more than one publisher, which is not ethical. So the best thing would be to first send it to a publisher and get a response from that publisher, and after getting a response from that publisher, then you take next decision. In case the publisher is not responding, of course, you can always write to them and you can withdraw your article from their publications. Then if you are submitting a translated article, for example, I have written an article in English and now I want to translate it into Urdu or some other language. So what happens, when I send my article, that is translated article in Urdu, for publication, it is my ethical duty to inform the publisher that the original article was published in English language in that particular journal, and this is the Urdu version of that particular article. So I think that is very, very important. Next is is research fraud. I just discussed about falsification and fabrication. Actually, these things are categorized under research fraud. And in this research fraud, even images are manipulated sometimes. So that is not right. And sometimes, when I was saying that people manipulate data or make up data, it will be a best practice to retain the research data for a reasonable time post publication, maybe for 4 years, 5 years, or whatever. So I think that will be a good practice. Then there is something called salami slicing. So salami slicing is a case where you unnecessarily want to make two papers out of one meaningful paper. Say if I have one article, and just because I want two publications in my name, what I do, I break that article into two and publish it as two articles. So I think that is also unethical. But yes, if they have to be published as two articles, that is perfectly fine. But you should not make unnecessary, a division of these two articles of one particular meaningful article. So that is unethical. Then there is another thing called conflict of interest when we talk of ethics and research. One is, of course, transparency. So transparency actually is the key for all, ethical activities. You have to be very transparent. Say, for example, if I'm editor of, or say I'm your supervisor, for example, and if I get an article to be reviewed that may be yours, So I must disclose this to the publisher that look, I am the supervisor of this person. So, and also, there could be a conflict of interest in terms of financial or academic. So if I have invested some money in some publication, obviously, so I should avoid writing in that publication as an author. And if I write, obviously, I have to make necessary disclosure to the editor of that journal. So this transparency and disclosure of conflict of interest are very, very important. And now, we'll discuss about what plagiarism is. As I said in the beginning, that you all know, we have been discussing about plagiarism for a very, very long time, but still there are a lot of things which we must understand and clearly understand. So basically, if you see the Merriam-Webster's dictionary of the definition of this plagiarism, the act of using another person's words or ideas without giving credit to that person is called plagiarism. To steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own, use another's production without crediting the source is plagiarism. And the dictionary went on to say that plagiarism is like committing literary theft. So you can understand when this thing is equated with theft, how serious this problem is. So plagiarism, is academic, is cheating and academic dishonesty, and plagiarism is one of the most common types of unethical practices or publication misconduct, where an author deliberately uses another's work without permission, credit, or acknowledgement. Okay, so I think there is no problem in using someone else's work as long as you credit the source or as long as you acknowledge the source. There were some samples collected, of by Elsevier, by their publishing staff in 2012, and what they found that out of all kinds of academic misconduct, plagiarism was found to be the one where most of the academic misconduct were happening, and rest were like authorship was just you can say 11%. Conflict of interest was 9%, duplicate submission was 22%. But if you see this here, plagiarism, that is 46%. And that is the reason, it is very, very important for all of us to understand what plagiarism is, and not just a clear understanding of plagiarism, but also how we can avoid it. So that is also very, very important. What is, paraphrasing, because sometimes we accidentally plagiarize. We may not be intending to plagiarize, but we accidentally do this. But at the same time, having said this, I would say that ignorance of law cannot be an excuse. So plagiarism is an act of fraud. It involves both stealing and lying about it afterwards. It's not that I'm stealing it today and that's all. I steal it and keep lying it afterwards, whenever I submit my CAS application or whenever I go for any direct recruitment selection, I keep, lying about the fact that I have authored an article which may be a plagiarized one. So words and thoughts can also be plagiarized. So plagiarism, takes different forms, from literal copying to paraphrasing someone else's work. So when you talk of literal copying, it means that we copy something as it is, and when we say paraphrase, we change the style of writing and we write in our own words. But paraphrasing is a little tricky. I will be discussing it in next few slides. Then as I said, plagiarism can even happen accidentally. Which is also called unconscious plagiarism or cryptomnesia. So, this is a situation where we do not plagiarize intentionally. It happens unintentionally. But as I said earlier, that ignorance of law cannot be an excuse. And here, what happens sometimes, that in our conscious somewhere, there is that there's a feeling that maybe this particular thing we have been listening, or this I know it for a very long time, and I accidentally do not cite the source. So that is called accidental kind of plagiarism or academic misconduct. Then computer programs, statistics, and music can also be plagiarized, and I'm sure you all know how music or even movies where they are taken from some fiction, and these are things are not acknowledged. So whether you are taking the text as it is from any source or even rephrasing the text, do not forget to cite the original source. I think that is very, very important, that you must cite the source. And this is, if you go to Google's website, I mean the Google Images website, what you see there is that if you upload an image, then a lot of related images will appear, and of course their context. So you will be able to know whether the one, of course, is that you will be able to know whether it is plagiarized or not. And second, also you will also be able to know whether the image which sometimes circulated without checking the fact is false, or it's a fake or morphed image, or and so on. So I think this is a very useful website where you can always check for images. And whenever I speak on this particular issue, I also say that because what is happening today is there is a lot of misinformation or disinformation, whatever you want to call, and it is being people are spreading it knowingly. Unfortunately, what we see these days is that a large number of images and news are being sent on WhatsApp, etc., and people just start believing that without even verifying it. I think it is first thing is what I do is when I get any image or any news which I am little wherever I suspect, I always make a check. So I think you should also do that. First thing, whatever you get on your WhatsApp, etc., you should assume that it is a fake, and only then you will be able to possibly save yourself from such fake news. So basically, plagiarism is a problem that comes from a lack of creativity. So because people who do not have any creativity, they tend to plagiarize. And these are some of the examples of plagiarism on your screen. One is show someone else's work as your own, copying words or ideas from someone else's work without giving credit, giving incorrect information about the source, making it impossible to find the source. So what happens? We give such a source, where it becomes impossible for the other person to locate that source. The reason why we give the citation and a reference is that to let other reader know how to get the complete information or detail of that particular thing which I am quoting in my article or wherever. So I think if I'm not able to locate that particular document, then the whole purpose of citation and referencing is defeated. Then buying, stealing, or borrowing assignments, experiments, results, etc., that is also plagiarism. And sometimes we see that students they borrow assignments from their seniors. So I think probably as teacher you all have to understand, and you all have to have that skill where you can detect that your student has plagiarized. Of course, apart from these softwares, etc., we detect plagiarism. No, I will not say detect plagiarism, but detect similarity, because there is huge difference between similarity and plagiarism that we'll discuss. So I think the teachers are probably in the best position to understand this, if a student has plagiarized or not. Then another example of plagiarism is using ideas of someone else's without creating the originator. Then next is reusing an existing published paper in a different journal, including translated articles that we just discussed. And the next is self-plagiarism, or this also called such people are called basically self-stealers. So what happens when we write something, say if I have an article which I published last year, and if I'm writing another article this year, if I copy a lot of things from my previous articles, and if I do not cite the source that is my own article, then that is called self-plagiarism. then using or copying so many words or ideas from another source that it makes up the majority of your research work, whether you give credit or not. So you copy so much that the whole article is made. You don't have anything new to say to the readers, or asking someone else to write for you. So this is also one of the forms of plagiarism. And the last example, I have given here is about paraphrasing existing text of others and present it as yours. So this is actually very crucial, paraphrasing, because some of us we do not know what paraphrasing means. The first thing, whenever we do paraphrasing, we must make sure that it should not change the meaning of the original work or idea. I mean, that is why it is important that whenever you are paraphrasing, please be very, very careful to understand what the original author wants to convey. Only then, you paraphrase in your words. Or the other option is that if you do not want to paraphrase, or if you have any confusion in that, possibly, you should put that paragraph or words in double quotes. And the next is, while paraphrasing, ensure that you substantially modify the original text and at the same time retain or preserve the exact meaning of the original idea or research. That's what I just said. So you have to be very, very careful when you do paraphrasing. And the next is, paraphrasing is not acceptable in the following cases. What are those cases? One is, of course, exact phrases from the original source without enclosing them in quotation marks. That is one. Next is, when you try to have the same sentence in structure which the original paragraph has, that is called emulation. So you should not emulate sentence structure. And the last is, you should not emulate paragraph organization even when using different words or sentence structure. So it does not just mean that you simply change the words. So when you do re-paraphrasing, you can sit with thesaurus, dictionary, everything, but at the same time, that does not mean just by using synonyms, the paraphrasing can be done. There is one very good resource which you can always look at. This is Davidson College Department of Biology statement on plagiarism. Here, they have given, if you see here carefully, original text they have given, and they have explained here, what is unacceptable. There are three things which they have said these are unacceptable, and this is the paragraph which is the acceptable paraphrasing as per this Davidson College. So apart from this, there is another document, and this is the document title. So here, what there are a lot of exercises given where you can just go and see. So what they have done is they have given original version of a paragraph, and then they have given several versions of various other after paraphrasing, so that a person very well understands how to paraphrase. Even not that I knew paraphrasing from the very beginning. I also did not know, and I was also doing a lot of mistakes in paraphrasing. But when I read this document, I was I'm a little careful when I do paraphrasing. And most of the cases of plagiarism can be avoided by citing of sources. Citing of sources is extremely important. So acknowledgement of the fact that a particular material, text, idea has been borrowed, and providing complete information of such document to locate that material is essential for ethical writing. So there are two things. One is acknowledgement, of course, and then providing the right information so that the other person could reach to that original document. And the last in this slide is citing of a relevant source. It is not just citing, citing of a relevant source. It should not happen that, I do not cite properly at one paragraph, I cite something else which may not be relevant on the other paragraph. So, what I'm trying to say is the citation have to be relevant. Otherwise, there is no point of citation. So I keep saying, and I also follow that, and that is why I am telling you that you should cite as you write. You should not wait your article to finish and then start citing. Whenever you start writing, please make sure that, whenever you do literature survey or literature review, make sure that you keep citing works. Otherwise, if you wait till the end, what will happen? You will forget what document you referred and where you have kept that document. So all these issues crop up. So it is always desirable that you should cite while writing the article. So what are citations, references, and bibliographies? Let me just briefly tell you, though I'm quite sure that you all know these things, but still, since I'm talking on this topic, let me still tell you what these things are. So citation or in-text citation is when one paper refers to another paper, okay? And a reference is complete detail of a paper cited in the text, number 2. Number 3 is bibliography. So list of books, other reading material, read or consulted while writing a scholarly work. So there is a slight difference between references and bibliography. References are only those papers or those documents which you actually refer in your document, whereas bibliography can just be the complete list of all the documents which you might have read or referred while completing your research, not necessarily have those documents have been cited. So there is this difference between a reference and bibliography. So citation and reference contains details of author, title, publisher, publication date, page numbers, URL, that is the website address, that is also called universal resource locator, etc. The lot of researches or the available studies suggest that a disproportionate number of errors occur in the reference sections, even in some of the most prestigious journals. So then that is why, I am putting a lot of stress on this particular issue, that because there are a lot of studies which suggest that people do commit a lot of mistakes while, giving citations and references. So what happens sometimes, the citation and references will not match. For example, a citation may be 10, whereas the references may be just 9 or 11. And sometimes, if we don't write when we are using some internet resource, and if we cite that internet resource, we don't give the date. And if you don't give the date of access that particular material, what happens that after maybe 2 years, 3 years, or after some period, that internet page will not be there. So if that internet page is not there, then obviously, it is a problem. There can be a feeling among the reader that probably you have not given the right internet address. So that is why, I say it is important that you always mention the date on which that particular resource was accessed. So let me just speak more on this citations and references. As I just said, matching of citations with corresponding reference, that is a problem. Those of you who review papers, you may be aware that there is always a problem in the citations and references. There may be problem with regard to the spellings, etc. So I think you should always double check about all these issues. Citations or references should preferably be chosen from the original source and not from the secondary source. But what happens if you do not have access to the original source? You only have to cite from the secondary source. Of course, you should do. You should cite only from that source which is available to you. Okay, it should not happen that the source which is available to is secondary source, and you are unnecessarily citing the primary or original source which is not maybe available with you. Also, when we search for information, we must make sure that we should always check those websites which are authentic. For example, and you should also see those websites which are primary sources of information. So, for example, if I am looking for some data on, say, the export of wheat in different countries from India and import of rice, etc. So one thing is that I can go on internet and just Google it and get some information. But the best would be to look at the primary